Hiya guys, just want to do an introduction video to myself. I'm disfunctioningdan, or Dan Collins, as you might prefer to call me. Just Dan would do. And I'm thoroughly autistic. Basically, I'm not professionally diagnosed yet, but I am very much in the way of self-diagnosis currently. Currently waiting for a professional diagnosis, which I'm apparently on the waiting list for. So yeah, so I'm sat in my little makeshift office, so forget about the stuff here and shit like that. I might swear occasionally, I'm sorry, but no, actually I'm not, I lie. So yeah, I was born back in the 80s, I'm in my 40s now, and yeah, it's I was born with various different birth defects which were known at the time, and you know, as sort of things gone on, I've obviously known, well, there's things wrong with me, and whatnot. So yeah, obviously immediately I would have known that, well, my family would have known that I had ptosis in the left eye, which means I couldn't open my left eye up. And I've had that operated on, as you can probably see. I can't open my left eye now, and I'm wearing glasses because the sight of my left eye is obviously significantly worse than it is in my right, thanks to that. Yeah, I've also as late developing, I couldn't walk or talk as quickly as perhaps I should have been, and yeah, so yeah, I'm yeah, so it's I couldn't do that for a while. I had to have speech therapy and physiotherapy to get me walking. Although one twat of a doctor did try to suggest I was just being lazy, which is something that, if anybody who's known me throughout the 44 years of my life will know that far from it, mate. Yeah, so obviously eventually I did start walking and talking, and it was suggested back then that I'll go to a special speech school, but then that was vetoed, and I ended up going to the same school as my older siblings. So yeah, did that. When I was younger as well, I also had what's it? Yeah, my tonsils was taken out, and surprisingly enough, eating chicken and chips for one day. I mean, you can probably tell by the video I'm a bit of a fatty, but that's just me. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, I went to school and they put me on what they called at the time the statement of special educational needs, which I believe has changed a long time since I was at school. So yeah, so but yeah, I was on a special needs statement, and I had help at school. It was partly because of the speech issues, and partly because the health visitor, when she was speaking to my mum, I was off playing with the toys and shit, as kids do, and yeah, she noticed that I had coordination issues, which to me, while it wasn't actually given a name at the time, well, at least not as far as I'm aware, there's nothing in my medical records anyway, Dyspraxia, or Developmental Coordination Disorder. There, I couldn't, sort of manipulate things properly, like when I was picking stuff up. It was said at the time it was a gross motor skills or fine motor skills, one or two. But I mean, throughout my life, I've been notorious for bumping into things and spraining my ankle on numerous occasions and tripping over my own feet a lot of the time. And I've excuse me. Yeah, so I've surprisingly went through a large portion of my life without actually breaking any bones. Although that duck finally come to an end 4 years ago, fortunately, when I managed to, when my coordination let me down again, when I was at work at my previous job. I fell over. I fell over. Fell down a set of stairs, metal stairs. Pretty much flattened to my face. Both my feet and my ankles were pretty painful. And I refused to believe that I'd actually broken a bone or anything like that. And finally, my other half and a few other people convinced me to go in A&E, which is obviously when I found out I actually had metatarsal bone in my foot. And when they did the x-ray, the doctor noticed that I'd actually broken a bone previously, which I didn't know about, and that was further back in my foot towards the heel. But anyway, so when I was at school, I was struggling with friends, struggling socially and being able to communicate with people. I would take ages to get or understand certain new phrases or words, and sometimes I would actually get people come up to me and go, "Hey Dan, do you know what so and so means?" I won't actually say the words specifically, but yeah, so I wouldn't, and they'd laugh. I wasn't unused to bullying at school because I got bullied relentlessly, seemingly, and that was throughout primary school and secondary school, unfortunately. A bit less so when I went to college in the end. So, you know, when I was at primary school, I had help because of my statement of special educational needs, and a lovely lady called Mrs. Bear was primarily responsible for that. And you know, she would take me out of class, she would like have me on sessions on my own, or with maybe one or two other people who might have needed a little bit of extra help at the time. And you know, I did have a bit of access to the school's computer. Yeah, at the time, obviously not anywhere near as advanced as what you've got now. We had a BBC Basic Micro when I was at primary school. They were cool. I enjoyed them. But then I've always enjoyed technology as well. It's been one of my special interests growing up. We had a ZX Spectrum at home, and a 48K one with the rubber buttons. Yeah, took 10 minutes to load a game up from a audio cassette. Nice. Downloading off the internet back then. And you know, none of this lifelike graphics either. When we rolled into the 90s, started senior school, and got my first taste of a Windows PC. Does anyone want to guess what version of Windows I used? Yeah, it's Windows 3.0. Yeah. We weren't even on 3.1 at that point. When we did eventually get a home PC, we did get one with Windows 3.1 on it. Massive grand total of 2 megabytes of RAM. Yeah, you heard that right. 2 megabytes. You're lucky if you've, well, not so lucky if you've got a computer that's only got 2 gigabytes these days. The hard drive, when I guess how much storage space I had in my hard drive, 80 megabytes. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah. Again, we're into like gigabytes and terabytes these days. And floppy disks. We had floppy disks back then. Yeah, very antiquated. We were 3.5 inch, 1.44 megabyte floppy disks on. I'm very experienced at using. Very experienced at compressing them too. Yeah, that's partly why my name is discfunctioningdan as opposed to disfunctioningdan. A bit of a play on words, you know, a bit of a corny play on words, but that's me. I like puns. And yeah, so another one of my special interests, obviously we were sort of going back to the 80s as well, watching TV programs such as Knight Rider. Anyone remember that? The one with a talking car, the one that could drive itself around, Trans Am. Yeah, and you wonder where the idea of cars that can talk and drive themselves come from. Yeah, good old David Hasselhoff as well, with his perm and his leather jacket. Yeah, I loved a bit of Knight Rider. I like the A-Team. and I got proper into Star Trek. Yeah, and obviously, you know, as you can probably gather, lots of things came from Star Trek. Communicators turned into mobile phones, pads turned into tablets, tricorders went into like PDAs and all this sort of shenanigans. And yeah, and don't let anybody tell you that the new track is shit, because it isn't. You're not a proper Trekkie if you don't like new track. But that's just me. But yeah, I like Star Wars as well. But my stepson's more into Star Wars than I am, and I'm more into Star Trek than he is, and so forth. But yeah, but you can tell I'm into my Star Trek if you actually know this bad boy, the Galaxy class Enterprise D. Let's get it up there. I don't even know how to yeah. Anyway, I'm not that good at that anyway. So, and I've also got that. Yes, boy. The Enterprise D plaque. Yeah, which I have up leaning against the wall on my printer. But yeah, so I think I was probably around pretty much at the start of the, well, maybe just after the start of the computer revolution and people getting home computers. We had consoles as well. Sorry, I mean that's a bit wonky. Consoles, like back then we had the Master System and the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, I didn't actually have the NES. We had, me and my siblings had the Master System, and then we upgraded to the Mega Drive. And I had my own Game Boy, the original one, and the Game Gear. Shame the Game Gear didn't go on, actually, because it was a technically better console than the original Game Boy. That was when we had cartridges. None of this sticking the disc in and waiting for your console to download any DLC that you've got ready for it, or any patches or anything. You know, computer games companies actually had to finish the game back then, because again, we still didn't have the internet. That went until the end of the 90s. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm going off a bit of topic, but it's one of my special interests. What do you expect? Yeah, so I was always pretty good with maths as well. Maths, IT, computers. I was always doing computers at school. I'm currently recording this on my iPad and my iPhone. Just doing the old double trouble. And yeah, so I did computers at school, IT for GCSE, which I got an A for. It's the only one I got an A. I got a B for maths, and I got a C in science, double science. We got a double grade for that. and I then had to resit, do a year resitting stuff, because I did geography, German, media studies, and English to redo, and I got better marks than me English, thank God. But yeah, so I've never really been one for reading books, not because they're not technology or anything like that, but, and it's not even that I'm not interested necessarily, but I struggle to read long pieces of work. After a while, the words and all that start sort of blending into each other and stuff, and it's not good. Yeah, so yeah, so I've got dyslexia, I think, as well, and dysgraphia, because my handwriting's always been a bit shit. It's not the worst I've seen, it's definitely not the best. And then after I finished school, I went and did computer studies and learned programming, things like COBOL and Pascal. Yeah, so we're all nerds in the computer class. We all pretty much got on, mostly. And in fact, one of my mates actually owned a computer shop, or a small chain of computer shops, which I ended up buying my PS2 from, and my Dreamcast, Sega Dreamcast. Anyone remember that? I didn't last time, did it? And I also had an N64, and I had PlayStation 1 as well, so got my PlayStation 3 on the desk. So yeah, well, after I'd left school and college, I tried to get jobs doing computer work, try to keep me my hand in, doing that sort of thing. And yeah, so but story of my life, the last 25 years, I couldn't get a job in offices or anything like that because I didn't have experience. I mean, to start off with, I was 19. How was I supposed to get experience, guys? And that's just been the story of my life ever since. I'm now 44, still not had a computer job. So I stuck with my working at my local supermarket to begin with. Went from part-time hours to full-time hours eventually. Swapped that for working in security when I moved up north. And when I was 20, no, not 25, I'm thinking I'm younger than I am, 35, I swapped that for working in warehouses. All that was fun. 2 companies that have treated me like absolute trash. But that's another story. For another video, maybe. You know who you are. So yeah, but yeah, so I've always struggled with like making friends, communicating, special interests being computers and sci-fi, and specifically Star Trek. My brother introduced me to heavy metal music at the beginning of the 90s and never really looked back. Yeah, so my brother giving me a copy of Metallica's Black Album in '91. That's his fault, Metallica's fault. I've seen Metallica 5 times. I'm not very good at talking to people, opening up. I'm not really that good at talking to myself, or talking about myself rather, as you can probably tell by this video. Yeah. So, I tried. I mean, I used to go out clubbing to alternative clubs back in the 2000s, and that took a bit of persuading from my mates, a few that I had, and I did. Well, I thought I got quite a number of mates, so maybe it was just me wishful thinking, because I barely talk to any of them anymore. I barely talk to anyone these days. Finger better off. But yeah, so here I am in 2024. I got diagnosed with anxiety and depression last year. I was having issues with my back as well, and the MRI that I had in March showed that I had Epidural Lipomatosis, which is basically a benign tumour on my spine. And yeah, that's causing me quite a lot of pain recently. So cheers for having a shit body. Thanks for that. But I can't fault anybody. It's, unfortunately, the cause of this Lipomatosis, as I say, it's a tumour on my spine, and it could lead to me getting cancer in the future, because that's always going to be fun, especially having had grandparents that have died of it. And research also suggests that it could have been one of the things that contributed to my autism. So yeah, fun times. But yeah, so I think I'm going to wrap it up, because this video is nearly half an hour. So I think I got autism, as I've already guessed. I've mentioned it God knows how many times. Obviously that goes with the communication issues, social issues, special interests, stuff like that. Dyspraxia, so my coordination, the amount of times I've tripped over myself, or a bit of uneven pavement, or a bit of flat pavement, or falling down the stairs like I did at work 4 years ago. Hell, I even repeated it at work. No, not at work, at home. A couple of months ago. Except I didn't break anything as far as I'm aware that time, man. But yeah, so Dyslexia and Dysgraphia, which is to do with the whole writing and reading and stuff like that, and obviously the developmental delays to do with walking and talking and all that shenanigans. Yeah, so that's all contributed. Obviously, like I say, I had Ptosis, weak muscles around my back and my hips, and all this good stuff. And yeah, so I say I think I'll leave it there for now. And I don't know exactly plans for future videos, but I will upload as and when. So click the subscribe button below, click the like button, make sure you comment and share and all that good stuff, as YouTube likes to get us to do. Cheers and gone.